Defense News. It's proudly sponsored by Navy Federal Credit Union. If you're a member of our nation's armed forces, the Department of Defense, or if your family is, we'd be proud to serve you too.
On this episode of Defense News Weekly, new tech from the Modern Day Marine Expo in Washington, D.C. We went to the show floor to see some of the latest gear that might make it into Marines' hands, including an eye-popping new optic that offers both red dot and thermal overlays. Plus, the military relies heavily on GPS services for operations around the globe. Find out how it's working to prevent adversaries from attacking the capability. And Racing's Bubba Wallace honors war veterans with a recent paint design. We find out what inspired the choice. It's the latest in news and analysis from the Pentagon to the platoon, here on Defense News Weekly. Welcome back to Defense News Weekly. I'm Andrea Scott, coming to you from the show floor at this year's Modern Day Marine Expo in Washington, D.C. There's a lot of new tech on display here on the show floor. First up, defense manufacturer Thales showed us their new combat optic, the X-Treme weapon sight, which offers all of the advantages of a thermal sight combined with a traditional red dot. Colin Demarest has more.
Hey y'all, I'm Colin Demarest with Defense News. I'm here in Washington, D.C. for Modern Day Marine at the Thales booth, and we have some cool gear here. What exactly are we looking at today?
So what we're looking at today is this is our Extreme hybrid thermal weapon sight. It is a hybrid version of your typical standard red dot system. However, we have combined it with a thermal and are overlaying that on top of the red dot system. Some of the benefits to that are going to be, with every single red dot sight that's out there, guys are running and gunning. They can run them at night with their nods down. You can do the same with this. Maintaining all your situational awareness. You can see your laser system through this while you're running it at night. You can do camouflage defeat, everything with this one simple weapon sight.
How would you describe what a soldier or Marine, whoever has this equipped, is actually seeing down the gun?
So, what they're going to be seeing down the gun is exactly what everyone is familiar with looking through a thermal scope. The difference is that now, instead of having to put their eye to an eye cup, now they're looking straight through a glass direct visual channel. So they're going to be seeing exactly what they're used to seeing with all thermal weapon sights. So they're going to be seeing either a black hot scene, a white hot scene, or one of the things that we like to show off with this, which is an outline mode, which is going in and highlighting areas of high thermal contrast out in the field in front of you.
What do you think the benefits are of having those different sight modes?
So the benefits are going to be, of course, comfort to the user. Some folks like to run black hot, some folks like to run white hot. Depending on the environment that you in will also help to dictate what mode you want to run in. Specifically for things like camouflage defeat, running at night, running into a building, smoke, outline mode is extremely beneficial because it is going to highlight for you where you need to be paying attention and objects in front of you that may or may not be a threat.
Awesome, thank you.
Absolutely.
And for something a little more down to earth from the showroom floor, what about a way to create a private bathroom while out in the field on a mission or during an exercise? One Marine veteran has a solution. Have a look.
Hi, I'm Paul. I'm a retired Marine, and I came up with our product, the Instant Privy, while I was in the Marine Corps. And the Instant Privy is a portable toilet kit and a backpack. It weighs just 7 pounds. It's a complete kit, has everything you need. There's so many applications, not only for going to the bathroom, but changing clothes with the tent, privacy needs, hygiene needs. So I kept working on it, finally got it into production after I left the Marine Corps, and we're here at Modern Day Marine, and I'm loving it. Marines today, when they go to the field, If they're at a set location at a range, they're going to have porta-johns. But if they're traveling out there, they're training, they're moving around, you don't have facilities, and so they're having to bury it or wait until they're at a place that does have porta-johns. So a lot of times that can be an issue, and I've talked to a lot of Marines, they're like, that's a real problem. They dehydrate themselves before they go on an operation, or they hold it all day. Both of those very unhealthy. Marines got to be ready to fight at all times, and so having a product like this that can actually travel with you, that you can set up in just seconds, is so important. And then also the utility of it, being able to do the hygiene tasks and all those other things with a little bit of privacy that our Marines and our military really deserve. Inside the backpack, you have a toilet chair, a privacy tent, 5 sets of waste bags. We even got a shovel. If you run out of waste bags, you got to have your backup. We have 4-ply toilet paper for you and hand sanitizer. So one of the coolest parts about this product is it sets up so quick and easy. You put a waste bag right across the top, interlocks with the lid, and you're ready to go. You drop this absorbent pad in there, and then you grab your tent for a little bit of privacy. That pops out, goes right over your head, and just like that, you are ready to go. So the other cool part about it, inside you got a pocket for your toilet paper and hand sanitizer, so you're not being stranded. If you're really bored sitting there, you can read the instructions on the inside. They're pretty great. So other thing that's important, you have 360 degrees visibility with the tent and a little bit of fresh air if you need that. It also works great for hygiene tasks, like I said. Even as a shower curtain, you don't want it on the ground. It's just going to splash up and get muddy. So you hang it up, and it drip dries. When you're done, you put it away. It covers all the important parts. And then it folds up, it goes right back into your kit. So the chair is pretty cool too, because you got a shovel that you can dig a little cat hole, put that right over the top. And as you can see, you got a pretty good sized drop zone, and it's smooth on the inside, makes it easy to clean, and just in case stuff happens. And then it folds up, again, it goes right away. I was in the Marine Corps for 21 years, really appreciated the opportunity to serve, but I gotta tell you, there's so many times I wish I would have had something like the Instant Privy. Out in 29 Palms, I spent 2 tours out there, 6 years total. There was nothing out there. I was in tanks, I was in tows, and an Instant Privy would have been really nice to have. So I know there's still a need today. I hear the stories from the Marines, both male and female, that there's just so many times I wish I would have had this product.
The Modern Day Marine Expo is packed with weapons training options for training Marines for the next fight. From pistols, rifles, and machine guns, all the way up to rockets and mortars, the show has it all. We tried out some of the offerings to get a feel for what might be headed for the fleet in the coming years. All right, Zaid, we're here with Ultimate Training Solutions at Modern Day Marine. What have you guys brought here for the show?
So since 2020, we've been providing the Marine Corps with our non-lethal training ammunition. The reason it's, I guess, so important and why people go to it is we have safeties built into this round to make it to where it's impossible to have a live round fire out of our conversions. But in the past, a lot of times you had to switch out an entire upper, receiver, or a barrel. And it kind of made training hard because a lot of times you'd have to switch optics, lasers, other things. This way we just switch out a bolt carrier group and then we can fire. So you keep your same work gun, and with our rounds, they're ballistically the same out to like 25 or 30 yards as a 5.56. So really all your holds, everything are really the same. We use them for force on force and force on target. So you can have opposition force, and then the marking compound in it will kind of let people know if you got shot. And then there's also a pain penalty. So if you do something stupid in the house, the UTM doesn't feel good. Hope you learn that way instead of from a real bullet on the battlefield.
So why is this important for the Marines in their training?
It's about as realistic as you can get without firing a live round. So there's a lot of Marines, soldiers, whoever, that they don't get a chance to shoot a lot. So a lot of times when they go shoot a qual or yearly, It's kind of dangerous. You really have to keep an eye on them because you're not talking about someone who handles a gun every day. So, you know, this stuff allows people to have a little more freedom and a safety built in, but they still get a lot of the reps on mechanics and of shooting an actual firearm.
And what sort of weapons can they use it with?
We do the M18, M17, which are the pistols, right? So it's a 9mm caliber. And then for the sidearms, we do the Marine Corps 416, 417, the SAW, M4, 240. Some of the SOCOM stuff would be Mark 46s and Mark 48s, but any machine gun or small arms in the military, we make a conversion for.
So when we go in here and try one, what are we going to be doing in there?
Yeah, so I'm going to start you out with the pistol, which is the same pistol the Marine Corps uses. So we'll shoot a UTM through that, and then we'll shoot one out of an M4, like a short-barreled rifle. Then we'll shoot the 417 and 7.62 by 51. We'll shoot the AK, 7.62 by 39. And then the last thing we'll finish up with is the SAW.
All right, let's go check it out.
Let's do it. It's going to be so easy. Wherever that dot goes is where the bullet's going to go. Bring it up to here, push out a little bit. Just nice, easy squeeze on the trigger. Yeah.
Okay, it wasn't the most embarrassing thing, but kind of embarrassing.
Look at that, that's perfect. You're going to stack them up. I guarantee you're going to be a good shot, trust me.
All right.
We'll do one more pistol because this is what the Marine Corps uses. So
What is this?
this is the 6-hour 320 or the M18. All right, you want to shoot the rifle now?
Yeah.
Right hand here, left hand out like that. There you go.
Ready?
Yeah.
It's a workout. Okay.
You done?
You're my first rifle.
Let's get the big one. All right. Machine gun time. Right, same grip. There you go. This one's your support hand again. You're gonna have to reach out right about to here. And you kind of want to lean forward a little bit, get your feet out, put some weight on your front toes. There you go. You got this. Now just pull the trigger.
Where do I shoot it?
Right in the middle of that paper. You got this.
Sure?
You got it, yep. Do it. Just pull it and hold it down. All right, ready? Go. Yeah.
That was heavy. I feel sweaty. I don't know. I was happy. It was fun. That was cool. All right. That was fun. I like that one the best. When we come back, GPS spoofing and how to defend against enemies trying to trick your positioning info. And later, an interview with NASCAR driver Bubba Wallace. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Defense News Weekly. Soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines rely on accurate GPS services for all kinds of essential missions every day around the world. But what if an adversary could take that information and modify it so it were inaccurate? Chaos could ensue, especially in a complicated conflict environment. It's called GPS spoofing, and C4ISRNet's Colin Demarest spoke with an expert about how it affects the U.S. military.
Hello everybody, I'm Colin Demarest, a reporter with C4 and Defense News. Today I'm joined by Michael Wagand with Shift 5, a data and cybersecurity company. Let's get right into it and maybe you can break this down. What is GPS spoofing and how is it different from traditional forms of jamming?
Yeah, so GPS spoofing is when somebody puts a false signal out in order to affect receivers and make those receivers think that they are someplace where they're not, or that the time is different. This is obviously very different than jamming, where you're putting signals out and preventing those receivers from hearing the signals from the satellites. One of these is a little bit more dangerous in many instances than the other, because a GPS outage, right, just means that that receiver is not providing the position, navigation, or timing information to the device. The other is where that receiver has been fooled and is actually providing bad or incorrect information.
So what technologies or systems are being targeted by these spoofing attacks? And, are there things that are especially vulnerable?
Well, More today than we've ever seen in the past, there are GPS jamming and spoofing attacks happening on a daily basis around the world. Unfortunately, some irresponsible state actors are using these techniques. And when you do GPS jamming or spoofing in the environment, it causes an effect that is indiscriminatory. It affects both receivers that are being used for military applications as well as receivers being used for civil applications.
And so what can militaries do to better grasp or counteract that GPS spoofing? And where does M-code come into play?
M-code is one of the latest advancements that's being rolled out where they are tuning up or providing a better encrypted signal to military receivers. There are actually two different types, broadly speaking, of signals that GPS satellites provide. One is essentially a civil signal. That's what our cell phones and other civilian receivers use to resolve the time and location. And then the military has always reserved a special encrypted channel to provide, in many cases, higher fidelity and more authenticated signals. M-code's the latest advancement there. The military, the Department of Defense actually is the lead agency at providing assured position, navigation, and timing. They continue to make advancements through the Oversight Council and a broad set of stakeholders that acknowledge that one of the most important services that they provide beyond providing assured position, navigation, and timing to military users, both our own and our allies, and preventing our adversaries from using those signals in a time of war, is also to support the civil infrastructure. So they continue to look for ways to advance the system in the architecture to stay ahead of threats in the future.
So what does Shift 5 bring to the table here? How do you guys tackle this problem or begin to tackle this problem?
What Shift 5 brings to the table is the ability to monitor the outputs from those receivers on an internal network or data bus and compare it with other sensors, looking at things like inertial navigation units or other devices that give us clues to where we are and where we've been, so that we can compare the totality of information available on the system to verify and validate that the receiver is providing us accurate information. We're going to constantly work with industry to tune up the anti-jamming and anti-spoofing detection capabilities on the receivers themselves. But within the weapon system itself, we want to take advantage of all of these other information sources to provide a verification and validation. And that's where Shift 5 shines. We provide hardware and software solutions to do that. That type of data fusion is relatively novel. And so we're excited to be working with industry partners and with a variety of military partners to advance the state of that technology, get it proven, fielded, and then show how it can be affordably retrofitted to weapon systems so we can increase their survivability.
Fantastic. Thank you for your time, Michael.
Colin, appreciate it. Thank you.
When we come back, our personal finance expert is back with her latest tips. Welcome back. On this edition of Money Minute, personal finance expert Jeanette Mack returns with her latest tips. Have a look.
With the school year ending, you're probably thinking more about summer break than the next school year. But think about this. The National Retail Federation estimated families spent over $890 on school supplies in recent years, and the cost could go up this year. So when it comes to what you need for back to school, the smart move is to start a savings plan. Now is when you should look back on your previous supply list. Estimate a total of those expenses, then add clothes, backpacks, a laptop, or sporting gear, anything you think you might need. Once you have an estimated total, start to save. Cut out on extras like fast food, coffee runs, or unused subscriptions. You'll be surprised how much that puts back in your wallet. Then open a dedicated savings account just for supplies and don't touch it until August. Start shopping before the end of summer and look for sales. Take advantage of military discounts and tax-free weekends if your state participates in them. Follow these tips and you'll head into the new school year with all you need to succeed and some money left over.
Thanks, Jeanette. We'll see you next week. To get more coverage of military and defense topics, drop the ramp on that amphibious combat vehicle and check out militarytimes.com and defensenews.com for more coverage. And to be the Marine most ready to deploy that informational knife hand, sign up for our early bird brief, compiled each morning to bring you the most recent headlines. And if social media is where you collect your open source intelligence, follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and X, formerly known as Twitter. And like most junior service members, we're on TikTok, so go find us there as well. Coming up, a conversation with NASCAR driver Bubba Wallace on why he honored service members with his latest car design. Don't go away. Welcome back to Defense News Weekly. I'm Andrea Scott. NASCAR fans watching the recent race at Dover International Speedway may have noticed an interesting new paint job on driver Bubba Wallace's car. Wallace sported a custom design paying homage to the Flying Tigers of World War II and veterans of the Vietnam War. The design was a callback to a 2019 paint scheme that honored the A-10 Thunderbolt, but added the names of the Vietnam vets on the back of the car this year. Reporter Simone Perez spoke with Wallace about the paint job prior to the race on April 28th.
Mr. Wallace, could you just tell us about the design of your car's paint scheme for the race at Dover Race Weekend coming up? What got this idea for the military theme started?
It goes back to 2020. I ran the Warthog inspired paint scheme on the 43, but that became a fan favorite. That became one of my favorite schemes. And so building the relationship with the Air Force and everybody there, walked in day one with 2311 this year, and I was like, people are wanting to see it back. I kind of want to see it back as well. So they were like, all right, we'll see what we can do. And so they were able to incorporate the Flying Tiger scheme.
Why unveil the design at Dover Race Weekend? Why that particular event?
Well, we have the Air Force Base right next door. It's super cool to have both brands come together and to be able to show military appreciation for our sport. There's a lot of race fans. There's a lot of crew members, people part of the race teams that, have a military background. And so I think anytime you show up with anything military in our sport, it's, all four thumbs up.
Can you kind of take us through the paint scheme? It's you're honoring the Flying Tigers, is that right?
They were officially named the American Volunteer Group, the Flying Tigers were. And so it just shows that the Pacific and Asia has kind of really always been important to us over here in the United States and the Air Force. And so being able to honor them and give back and show some remembrance and show some highlights and try to be super fast and really, really tough on the racetrack, I think it's super cool.
From what I understand, this has been in a partnership with Xfinity and also the U.S. Air Force.
Yep.
What's it like working with the folks at the U.S. Air Force on this?
Air Force is a pretty damn cool sponsor. They want to do a lot of cool things, but they're a lot of fun, and they do things different. And so I think just be able to have this opportunity to showcase that, their core values are right there on the forefront, and we're able to represent them.
This comes right on the cusp of Military Appreciation Month. So can you just say why to you it is so important to celebrate that month, but also just more broadly, the veterans and service members?
Every day we're blessed to be able to have opportunities like this because of our military allowing our freedoms, to be able to enjoy time with family, friends, loved ones, whatever it may be. It's because of our military. And so any time that we can give back and show our appreciation, especially in NASCAR, it's super fun and it's a no-brainer, and we'll always jump on it and do it.
One last question. This is probably going to be a tough one. How are you going to finish at Dover Race Weekend?
And if I had a crystal ball and I could see into the future, I would say we could win. But Dover's a place that we've run okay there. We haven't set the world on fire there, but we're looking forward to it. It's been a good year for us. Like I said, a lot of good things are shaping up around that weekend. So we just need to go out and execute. And I think a top 5 is very doable.
Bubba Wallace, thank you so much for joining us here at Military Times and Defense News. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ismail.
Wallace did not win the race, but points for the extra effort. And that's all we have time for in this week's episode. We'll see you next week on Defense News Weekly.